I'm Life with Coach Dom, and you're watching us on Conversations for the Culture Kingdom Edition. So today we have another special guest, my friend E.
Yeah, BA.
BA.
Yeah. For those that follow the music.
I'm gonna say where to follow you on.
Oh, you can follow me at BABADD_EBE. And that's across all social media platforms.
Okay, it's smart to have the same name on all of them. And so I always like to open up just how we cross paths, before we kind of dive in to everything else.
I believe, well, I used to be a part of a group called the Zombies years ago. And believe you did a photo shoot where you wore one of our T-shirts, Zombie University,
Yep.
um, through a mutual friend. And from there, that's kind of how we connected and maintained a decade-long friendship.
Yes. It's crazy that it's been a decade. Yes. So at the point when I first decided to starting segueing from being the makeup artist to being the model, I did a photo shoot for my brand at the time, Beauty That Moves, but it was more so focused on the makeup aspect. And I asked, I kind of put out a call like, hey, any brands want to collaborate, be a part of the shoot? And you guys want us to wear your merch? And got the Zombie University shirt, which was cute at the time. And I was just laughing at the fact, like, I really didn't know much about this brand. Like, older me looking back is like, I really didn't know much about this brand. I probably should have looked into it. But, when you have, like, a mutual friend,
Yeah.
it's like, oh, okay, I can kind of trust this. But you are in the music industry still.
Yes.
Yes. And so what first made you get into music? Have you always been an artist?
Man, I've always been in love with music, like as far as I can remember, like being a little boy. Like, you know, people talk like when kids they like musicals and stuff like that. I always say like my first musical is like the Five Heartbeats, right? Like I don't know if you're familiar with that movie, but that's like my favorite movie. That's what I grew up watching. I just always loved music, whether it was soul music, um, gospel, hip hop. I sung in like church choir. I've sung in the school choir. So I've always, always been attached to music.
When you said Five Heartbeats, I just paused. Like, no. We always joke because it took forever for me to watch a lot of staple movies. Because I think we talked about, like, when I grew up, my parents did not play that, like, watching certain things, listening to certain things. So there's a lot of, like, throwback movies and music and stuff like that. Like, if it starts playing or people bring it up, I really don't know.
Oh, no.
I don't know. I've just started, like, in my 30s watching, certain things. In the beginning of my 30s. Now I really don't watch a lot of things in general. So with you always being interested in music, what made you want to branch off and start being an artist like yourself?
I just always loved it. Like I can't say what I don't know what made me want to do it. It's just something that like, I attempted it. Like okay, so I sung in the choirs, sung in the church choir. Um, I had a family member, my aunt, tell me that I couldn't sing. You know what I mean? Which she was true. She was right. She was honest. You know what I mean? She was trying to save me the embarrassment of like you're not about to be that guy. So hip hop was the thing that I was into as well. So I started like writing raps and performing on at school part whatever wherever I could rap whatever. And I initially tried to be like a DJ. So like at 12 years old, my mom she bought me a set of turntables. Went to New York City, and this is like vinyl times, and we was hard on money, so we didn't have a lot of money. So that's an expensive hobby to have. So once I couldn't keep that up and buy needles and more records, the cheapest thing was like a pen and a paper. So then I just started doing that, and it just once I got my first reaction of people telling me I was good, I just kept going at it. It was like the one thing I like. Sports was cool, but this was something that I felt like amongst my friends and my community that I was like good at. So it was like something I wanted to do.
So where you are now, as far as your career, you recently had a tour. What got you there? Like, at what point did you decide, like, I'm gonna go like full into this, and it's not just something that I'm good at or my peers say I'm good at. Like, I'm gonna take this serious. I'm gonna start really putting myself out there. Like,
Um, Man, I've been doing it for so long, but I just always believed in myself. I always had this idea if I can see it, I can do it. So it was nothing never holding me back. Like I always did as much as I could do. You know, whether it was just being able to record and release the music, you know, internet started getting more popular. So, you know, posting online. I'm originally from Syracuse, but when I moved to Buffalo, that's how I ended up linking with the core members, the founder members of the Zombies. And I mean, we created that together, and we just believed in ourselves. So for me, it's never no limit. There's no limit to how far you can go. I didn't really not believe in myself, so it was like I just kept pushing more and more and more and more and more and more until till now. Like now, it's like this is what I know I love to do. I would do it. I would do it if nobody never heard it.
yeah,
So why won't I just push it? You know.
that makes sense. And so, just to kind of segue, um, we talked about music. You talked about how you were singing in the church choir and stuff like that. So, how does I guess music now play a role in your belief?
Mm. Um, how does it play a role in my belief? Well, it's a vessel. It's a vehicle to like reach other people, and especially now, like I think I'm a little more responsible with my music. So I try to, you know, live in life. You have different experiences, and through my different experiences, I've been in different rooms. I learned the language of different rooms, and now that I'm at this point in my life, I want to get the message in the language of those people in the room. So I like to look at what I do is I put the medicine in the candy. Off the look, off the first listen, you might not catch it. But if you continue to listen and you get deeper into the music, you will start to hear me mention certain things. Because I understand I don't never want to come off preachy, but I want to drop seeds.
Yeah.
I try to like, you know, make sure that I create a conversation that will lead to more. So
Yeah.
that's where I'm at with the music now, and that's how it ties back to my belief.
That makes sense. I think also as an artist, different type of artist, I get that. I feel like when I look at like my poetry and things like that from different seasons in my life, like it reflects those seasons of my
Yeah.
life. And as I've matured and changed, like my poetry has changed over time too. But it's also like a conversation starter.
Yeah.
And so I definitely got what you said about that, also being an artist. Even when I was thinking about, you know, getting ready to publish my book, I definitely had moments of pause like, does this necessarily reflect like where you are, Dom? But
Right.
at the same time, I'm like, it reflects where you were, and that's a
Yes.
part of the conversation. And
For
so I
sure.
don't want to sanitize to a certain extent. I don't want to sanitize the rawness of the journey because I think that's part of the art, and it's part of the art of life and the journey of life as well. And so I definitely completely get that. When it comes to music, I'm definitely what was it? Like a couple years ago, I was convicted to not listen to secular music, like worldly music. And I know like in the body, that's like a debate, you know? And when I think about it, I think about it talks about in the Bible how like if you feel that something is wrong, like something that's not specifically like outlined, like this is wrong, don't do it. If you have a feeling that it is wrong, you don't do it, right? So it's not like I walk around telling anybody else like you shouldn't listen to this type of music anymore and you're this and you're that for doing it. But for myself, I see the way like as an artist, as someone who's like just been drawn to dancing since I was a kid, I see the role that music kind of played into me being more impressionable with things. So I'm more careful about what I let into my ear gates. I feel like in this season of my life, I feel like if it's talking about stuff that I'm not involved in or I shouldn't be involved in, or that for my, doesn't glorify the Lord, I personally am not listening to it. I think over the years, like, things like maybe Olivia Dean or, little things like that aren't. But for me, like, I think coming out of the space of working in nightlife, coming out of the space of like teaching dance classes, like sensual dance classes and stuff like that, I really had to put like a hard stop on music at a certain season of my life. Because I just realized what it was, kind of what it was doing.
Yeah.
Plus, certain music, like, if you're listening to a song, just for me, if I'm listening to a song and everything is about, like, we about to go outside and we about to, like, who care about that man? Go get you another man. He your man, but you got another man on the side. Like, baby, listening to that, I'm like, oh, black girl.
Yeah, it become the soundtrack.
I felt like it was becoming like the soundtrack
sure.
of my stuff. Like if something was going on, I'm already mad about something and I'm going to press play and I'm bumping something that's like doubling down
100%.
on all of like the negative stuff and the negative like responses to the stuff that I'm, experiencing. It was just like, it had to be like a hard stop for me personally.
Right.
It was just like, nah, I can't do that. I have to be more intentional about my, ear gates and stuff like that. So as you are, choosing your lyrics and stuff like that, like what does that look like?
I think for me, it's like I have to be honest to where I'm at in the moment.
Yeah.
And I understand that where I'm at in the moment, right, will reach somebody where they at in the moment.
Yeah.
And it's like being an example. So it's like, okay, you can see me in this moment, but I especially like with my last project, I made a specific point to make sure I mention God, make sure I mention family, make sure I mention certain things because they got to see that side too.
Yeah.
And then it makes it more relatable. It makes a person say, okay, it's okay for me to feel this way. I know how this feels, but I can also feel this way and be unapologetic about it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that's where the conversation comes in. That's where it's like, okay, I can meet you where you at because I know where you at because I'm still fighting. I'm still learning. I'm still maturing. I'm still,
Yeah.
When you said about like cutting off certain music, like I got to a point where it's certain music that I don't listen to no more because I understood that triggers me to be a certain way and to think certain thoughts. So I was like, nah, it's too,
certain songs is strip club music for me. Baby, what am I listening to it for if I'm not going to the strip club?
Nah,
like, what am
I?
When I hear certain songs, I'm like, I feel like money should be being thrown right now. Like, I just feel like money, I feel like I'm back in the sections being a bottle girl. You know what I'm saying?
But
like,
that's being human.
That's the humanity of it. And
sure.
so when I say like I don't listen to certain stuff, it's not a preachy. It's not a like me being better than anybody else who does. It's just I don't listen to it because I know what it does to me. And I'm not trying to be, to be there. I want a level of separation from that, if that makes sense.
And that's why it's important to tell your story and truth. Because for that young lady or whomever that is going through that or feel like that, they can look to you and identify that and say, okay, I feel the same way. But where you at today is like, how do I get there?
Yeah.
And they can kind of follow your footsteps on like, okay, it's okay for me to feel like this right now. I can give myself grace.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Because like even if they're not, necessarily like following your footsteps, they see what a real journey looks like. I think about that when I think about the Bible. When people don't necessarily read it for themselves, they only hear the glory stories of the people in the Bible. Like Moses is the one who delivered the people from Egypt. Y'all don't be talking about the fact that he murdered a man.
For sure.
You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
David was the like, a man after God's own heart. Okay, y'all don't always want to talk about the fact that like he, was adulterous. He set that man up to get murdered. Did get murdered.
He lined
you know what I'm saying?
up.
Really lined him up, sent him to the front lines. Like, oh, you ain't trying to go home and be with your wife? Go.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But really, the beauty in his story, specifically was like, even in his mess, he knew who to turn back to.
100%.
And I think that's the part that people can miss sometime in the conversation is they want to focus on the parts of the story that they feel like are righteous. they don't want to act like there was a period of time, right, where you were in this, and that it's dying to ourselves daily.
Right, right.
It's a daily thing. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not just waking up and like you did it one day and now up forever, like
No,
forever.
no.
Like, no, it's
You have your good days, you have your bad
Yeah.
days, you have your highs, your lows.
and every single day the Lord is with you. And I think that's the part. I think as your journey goes on, though, seeing other people who are giving their testimony in, the realness, but still giving the glory to the Lord, I think that is what draws people in, because it's like, oh wow, like,
Right.
I would have never known. Somebody said to me today, yeah, Dom, do you listen to worldly music? You don't look like you listen to worldly music, baby. I don't, but I did.
Right,
I did.
right,
You know
right.
what I mean? So I think for myself, I realized through just the different industries that I've worked in, if you didn't necessarily know me in one space, you may not have a full picture of
Yeah.
like the complexity of my human experience. We be joking. I'd be like, I'm literally like on my 7th or 10th life,
Yeah,
y'all.
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
y'all
yeah.
have no idea, like, this put together version of me that y'all see because they're like, oh, she's a therapist, or oh, she's the business
Yeah.
owner, whatever. It's like, yeah, no, I was in the trenches, y'all.
I was just saying that to somebody. I was like, depending on when somebody met me, they just met a different version of me.
Yeah.
They don't know that, like, who I was prior to that.
Yeah.
Like, and it's like they don't. It's like you don't even know how far I came to get here.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like you, like, you know.
It's a quote, and it's kind of like, if you hear somebody's story and they're saying like, I'm the villain, or if you hear somebody's story and they're saying like, I'm just this great person, like, there's probably some truth in both,
100%.
right? Depending on the season, depending on the situation. And I think people get so focused on wanting to be the hero and wanting to be like this picture perfect thing that I think our depth is really what makes us human. So it's like, it's periods of time in my life where I was not as easy to converse with
Yeah.
as the Dominique, that sits here today, or I was not as easy to talk to, or maybe my like responses to things weren't as trauma informed or like well-rounded, you know what I mean? Like, some moments is like a little cringe, but then I'm like, yeah, but if I didn't have those moments and learn from them, I wouldn't be where I am now.
100%.
Like, there's a starting point. We are all starting somewhere. But the point is to, keep going.
Yes.
And keep the main thing the main thing. It's like, God is going to do the work. Like,
It's like
we got to do our part too, though,
a
y'all.
lot of people like identify with Malcolm X, especially today, opposed to like Martin Luther King, even though he was a great man as well. But I think the reason why is because we know the story, how Malcolm became Malcolm. We know, like, he sold drugs, he ran around, he went to jail, he did all these things, he cleaned himself up. When Martin Luther King, the only story that's been projected out there is just him being good. We just see this guy who's in church, who, was a leader in the community, but you don't really see his downfalls, you know what I mean, as a part of Malcolm's. And it's like, that's what connects the people. Everybody has their story, you know what I mean? And so I think that's why I said, it's very important for you to tell the whole scope of things.
Yeah.
Because it reaches people exactly where they at. And then you can lead them by being a light. Christ said, be the light.
Yeah.
So it's through your everyday, like what you said, I don't listen to secular music no more. I don't dress like this no more. I don't do this no more. Now you don't have to tell nobody what not to do. Somebody's going to look over and say, okay, I see what she's doing. I want that same peace that she has now. I remember Dom, that was the bottle girl. I remember Dom, that was a little crazy. You know what I'm saying? But I see her today and she has so much peace. How do I get that peace? And that's where
Lord.
it comes with your walk. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think one point to what you made, it made me think of like a couple years ago. It was like this stuff, like, I don't like, gossip or rumors. It was just this stuff that was coming up that people were kind of trying to project onto, Martin Luther King.
Yeah.
And one, I felt like it was distasteful.
Very
But
much.
two, I felt like we forget that people are humans, and like we get so caught up in cancel culture, we get so caught up in needing a villain to
Yeah.
point our fingers at. And I don't know if it's for people to like deflect from what's going on in their own personal lives or whatever, but it's like everyone's been the villain in somebody's story.
100%.
Even if it's as simple as you stepped on somebody's toe
Yeah.
and they swore down to the ground.
Or you speaking up,
You
or you
did
speaking
it
up
on
for
purpose.
somebody.
Yeah.
I always say, yo, my heroes ain't everybody heroes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like even our president. To some people, they love him. They love him to death. To other people, I mean, you know, the latter. So it is what it is. But at the end of the day, you know, I feel like speaking of Martin Luther King, like I said, he's a great man.
Yeah.
I think he did a lot of great things, regardless of what his down, whatever that was him being human.
Yeah.
And that's between him and God and him and his family.
Yeah.
And
I think people, it's more so what I was saying is I think people sometimes are a little worried about sharing the downfalls of themselves because cancel culture is so high and people are worried about being canceled or worried about being the villain. And I think that's why it's so important to talk about.
Culture isn't real.
I think for me, I don't think
It's-
cancel culture is
it's not
real
real.
because I feel like it's whether or not you subject yourself to
If
it.
you 100% authentically yourself, how's somebody gonna cancel you?
Yeah, they trying. I think people harass people online.
Yeah, but okay, turn your phone off. It's not like it's okay. You know, back in the day, if you got bullied at school, you had to go to school. Like, oh man, I don't feel like getting talked about in the lunchroom. I don't want to go to school. No, you're going to go to school. You had to face it outside.
Yeah.
Today, if you don't want to be cyberbullied, don't log on.
I don't know. I've seen some really crazy things with TikTok specifically. I'll give TikTok as an example. TikTok they gonna stalk you. They gonna find out where you live. They about to try to get you evicted. They calling your job. They emailing corporate. Do you get what I'm saying? So I
Okay.
think I'm more so when I say cancel culture, I mean it's gotten beyond just cyberbullying. Like people become invested in people who I've seen 30 seconds of your life. I've seen one snippet, and now I'm making it my personal mission to like avenge something that you don't even necessarily know the full, story of. And I think when I personally think about that as a believer, I'm like, I don't understand how that aligns with what you say you believe. So when I think about cancel culture too, I'm like, how does that align with Vengeance of the Lord's? How does that align with gossip and slander is like the equivalent of witchcraft? How does that align with just how does it align? So when I'm thinking of that, I think people get so afraid of people that they don't want to give their whole story because people get very, very malicious with people without the grace.
I mean, at that point, you gotta learn to stand on business. I mean, and it's not. This ain't nothing new. If we want to go back in the Bible, right? We go to Christ. That was cancel culture. They wanted to cancel him
Permanently.
They wanted to shut him up. They didn't want him speaking the truth. They didn't want him doing what he was doing. So if you stand on business, I use another example. Kanye West. You know what I mean? Right, wrong, or indifferent. He's showing you that, like, you can't cancel me.
Oh, true. Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? I'm just going to do, you may not like me, you shut me off. You want to do business with me, sever the contract. But I'm going to do me regardless.
Yeah.
And there's always going to be a group of people that's going to identify with you.
Yeah.
No matter what you do or say, good, bad, or indifferent, there's always going to be a group of people that's going to say, I connect with that.
Yeah.
So,
because people are complex. I think people are so layered. So I'm
Yeah.
like, people could relate to me in one area, but not necessarily relate to me on another area. Or they could see something or hear something like, oh, Dom did X, Y, and Z, and be like, nah, I get that. Or you could hear something like from a totally different perspective and be like, oh my goodness, that's like, she's absolutely crazy.
but if you live in your truth.
But you that's what I was going to say. You got to live in it. So like for myself with the podcast or just in life, it's like, well, yeah,
Yeah.
I was a little crazy back
You
then,
can't
y'all.
hurt me with my truth.
Like I was a little,
Yeah.
I did used to work at the clubs. But,
Right.
But I think when I think about the show, Conversations for the Culture, it's to do that, like to have the conversations like in the rawness, the I also do agree that everything doesn't have to be shared. I'm very a person of like, I don't think people can bully someone or like harass people into telling something that they're not ready to talk about or they just don't want to talk about. But I do feel like overall, walking in your experiences in a way that's like reflective and helpful for other people as well, I think that's like one of the best things we can do. I think we're called to do it too, like
Yeah.
just to testify to the goodness of the Lord, and to spread the good news. And sometimes in the process of spreading the good news, you are talking about some of the bad news
Yeah.
of the things that happen to you to point to the good
But
news.
you gotta own it.
Yeah,
Once you own it, like you can't use it against me. I already owned it.
Yeah.
Okay, what you want to tell me that I didn't tell the Lord already? Like,
okay.
you know, so at that point it's like
I didn't tell
you
the
can
Lord
waste
already.
your time. You can go around and try to get me fired. Whatever you want to do. If
Yeah.
it's meant to happen, it's gonna happen. If not, it
Yeah.
is what it is. But stand on business. Be who you are unapologetically.
Absolutely. So I want to segue into just I think we've had conversations just about like the dynamics. So we talked about like music and things like that, how music plays a role in culture and relationships. So not just through the lens of belief, but just in the dynamics between women, men, the type of things people do. What are your
Yeah. I think it plays a big role. It can. They say art imitates life. Does life imitate art? You know what I mean? Both are true. Two truths can coexist, right? And I feel like depending on what you allowing in, you know, can definitely influence certain things. If I put on some R&B music and it's talking about love, your mind is gonna start thinking about love. You're gonna start thinking about relationships. You know what I mean? If I play, I don't know, stripper music and it's about throwing money, you know what I mean? You're gonna start thinking about that lifestyle, and if it keeps being played over and over again, you might not have never been to a strip club.
and now you feel like you need to go
Now
to
you're
one.
like, you know what? I kind of want to, you know what I'm saying? So
Yeah. Yep.
it's about what you're feeding yourself, you know, whether it's, you know, you're digesting it, whether it's food or through your ears. You know, it's very important to what you allow in your diet.
Specifically in, let's say, hip hop culture, rap culture, a lot of the things that are, rapped about and talked about in the way that they can kind of play a role in like real culture. Kind of like, again, it gets to a point where you don't know is like, are we imitating the music? Is it music actually truly imitating us? Is like, is it these things were happening?
Mm-hmm.
But are they now happening at such a rate because it's like necessarily being kind of like glorified or talked about in
Influenced,
music
yeah,
more?
yeah.
Or is this just really the reality? I think that the music kind of glorifies a lot of things that are now being normalized, like the toxic culture. Like
Sure.
I'm like, when were toxic relationships really like glorified?
Right.
Like this, like before you used to have some good oldies or they were talking about love
For
and
sure.
they outside with the boombox
Family,
fighting for their
yeah.
woman back. Now it's like, nah, I'm gonna get another one and another
Yeah,
one. Not
yeah.
saying it was never no music like that, but that
Right.
may not have been like
There
the
was no
over.
balance.
Yeah, like it seemed to be a little balance. Like you might have heard a little crazy song or two, but now
sure.
it seems like the majority of the music is like, oh, okay, yo man, acting up, go get you another man, and
Yeah.
this, that, and the third. Take all this money,
Yeah.
and like if they ain't buying you no Chanel bag, like, and then the music like starts to reflect reality TV,
Mhm.
which isn't necessarily positive reality
Right.
at all.
Right.
And I think the conversations get lost that need to be had. I think we were talking about just like now you have things that weren't necessarily a thing. Now people think all women are like that.
Yeah.
All women just want, if you can't buy them a Chanel bag,
Yeah.
if you ain't swimming in money, if you can't do this, if you can't do that, because this is what the girls are rapping, and now this is on, the entertainment, this is what the girls are rapping at home, this is reality. Now
for
I'm
sure.
looking at women like they're ops, they're gold diggers,
Yeah.
everybody's after my money, even if y'all ain't got none. and just creates like this op mentality of the opposite sex.
I think one of the biggest issues that we have in this generation is our gift and the curse of the internet, right? Because it kind of eliminates that conversation that we could have. People log on, and like I was speaking to you earlier about, I seen a video about a woman man bashing, right? I watched that video. I watched 2 more of her videos. Before I know it, the algorithm tells me this is the content I want to see. So now every time I go to my phone, this is what I'm seeing going down my timeline. Now, if I'm not having meaningful conversations with different women, I might start to trick myself that this is how women think,
Yeah.
and then I start to respond to that in real life. You know what I mean? And I think this is happening at an alarming rate, especially with a younger generation that doesn't get out as much. You know what I mean? Like I always say, like I come from the generation where you had to go outside.
And when you was outside, nobody was worried about a phone. Not that cameras were even as good as they were now,
Right.
but like people were leaving like sweated, like people were having a time and engaging with each other. They weren't
100%.
staring at a phone the whole time.
100%. You had to talk to people.
Yeah.
You had to walk down the street, and it's funny when you see kids, like little kids, like become friends. It's like the little boy's over there with the ball. She's outside standing in the yard. They go hi, hi, and they walk up and they start playing with the ball. Now, because of social media, it makes you a lot of what's the word I'm looking for? You know, socially awkward.
Yep,
where
social
because
awkwardness and
all
anxiety.
you're doing is just going online. Before I would see you, I would say, "Hi, Dom. How you? Oh, hi. How are you doing? What's your name?" Now they won't even say that to you. They'll see you at the grocery store, go home, find you on social media, and jump in your inbox. You know what I mean? This is like
Yeah.
what's happening.
Yeah.
And when it comes to
I'm very big on, sorry to cut you, I'm very big on I've like a lot of social media friends constantly deleting more every day to try to like clean up my feed. But I'm very big on is like once I see you in public and you don't speak, I'm deleting you.
yeah.
It's awkward.
Well, you know what? So why don't you speak?
I do speak. I'll say hi. Like if I actually know you, like and I'll say hi. But if like you added me and then you see me, you don't speak, it's weird. I'm gonna delete you.
I mean, I kind of just overstand the environment. I know that a lot of people. I know that. Yeah, okay, you might have added me, you might have seen me and didn't speak, maybe because you might feel socially awkward. You might. I mean, it's times that I see people that I know from social media, but I never seen them in person. So I might look and I might be like, is that who I think it is?
Maybe
But
it's
I don't
weird.
want to like speak out of turn, you know what I mean? Or whatever the case may be. And they might not look inviting. So I might just keep going, and then I see their story and I see, oh, they were at Wegmans. I'm like, oh, that was who I thought it was. You know what I'm saying? Or they might be like, oh, you see me in the story, didn't say anything. I'm like, but you didn't say anything neither. You know what I mean? And I think that's just of the times that we living in. And it takes somebody to be a little more, out there and say, hey, how you doing? Are you such and such? You know what I mean? That means that changes the whole dynamic of what we're talking about. But it's not many people like that. So we just walk
Yeah.
past each other, and you have the thought of, this person see me, didn't even say anything. And I'm like, I wonder, is that girl Dom? I'm not really sure. And before you know it,
I
I'm
look
deleted.
like my pictures. Oh yeah, you're
You know what I'm
deleted.
saying? I'm deleted.
Yeah.
Or because we on social media so much, it's like, I know I see, I travel, I go different places. Everybody kind of looks like somebody to me. So I might look at somebody and be like, yo, they kind of look familiar, but I'm not sure if that's who I think it is.
See, I have like I see people, and this is kind of giving away. Don't get mad when y'all hear this. I see people out all the time, and whether or not I remember, like, say someone says hi to me, but I don't remember them, I will sit there and have a full blown conversation with you, right? If I see a person, I think that I'm gonna say hi. I just feel like social media and the concept of friends has become so cordial, but it's like, think about what people are actually sharing on social media. Like, I recently went and deleted all the pictures of my kids off social media. I feel like it's just too much of my like life and things being shared and like access. But then if you see me, you wouldn't speak. but we're holding all this knowledge. I don't want that knowledge of you. And that's not me being funny, but it's just like our brains really are not meant to store this much information. So we do not actually have like an actual touch point in real life. Like if you follow, that's whatever. But like for us to actually be friends, I don't want that, if that makes sense. Because we're not friends. We're not even friendly because we're not even saying hi. You know what I mean? Yeah. I think it's just a way, you know, how people think about that. I think for me, you know, my brain be going. So I think into things like that. And for me, I think as I've started to like weed things out of my algorithms and things like that, I don't want that. Like back when I used to like just have social media because I had my own businesses, you know, I'm trying to get people to come to the pole studio to take classes, or I'm modeling, or even when I was working at the clubs and it's like, oh, okay, people are my friends on Facebook, whatever, I'm posting that I'm at, you know, I'm going to be here selling bottles, whatever. It's like, oh, okay, the more people that are seeing this, the better. I think as I've gotten older, it's like, absolutely not. Right. One, because I'm nowhere where I'm asking y'all to come be at this point. You know what I'm saying? Right. And also, it may be things that I want to share.
Just want to share to your intimate.
Yeah, that I want to share, you know, and I get why they do the close friends. Yeah. But it's like, are your close friends even close friends? Or are they just closer than all the other people who are your friends that are not really your friends? I used to be a person who's like, hey, friend, hey, friend, hey, friend, hey, friend. I don't no more.
No.
I don't. Because I've learned the power of the word friend.
Right. Reminds me of what my grandma used to say. All them people ain't your friends.
Yeah.
I mean, so for sure.
It's a verse in the Bible, and it's like, I'm trying to remember it. It's like no better thing than a friend to lay down their life for a friend or something like that. I'm gonna look it up and put it in the comment section when I post a video. But like, I want friendships.
Yeah.
Like, and so I look at things differently. Like, we've been friends for a decade, even when I wasn't always the best friend. And
I'm not going to agree to that, but whatever.
That what?
That you wasn't always the best friend.
I don't think I was always the best friend.
I think we all be living our lives. Life be life sometimes. And sometimes you be more into yourself at certain moments. Not you, but I'm saying in general, us as people. And sometimes we may not have that much capacity to be there for anybody else but what we're going through at the moment. You know what I mean? And I don't feel like anybody should feel guilty about that.
I disagree.
You disagree?
I do.
Why?
At this age, I disagree. I feel like, I'm not saying you necessarily have to feel guilty, but as I've gotten older, and even just in the concept of being a therapist and seeing clients, I realized that a lot of people are now coached into thinking you have a lot going on. All you can worry about is yourself. Just worry about yourself. That's enough. And that adds into the why we've lost community, right? So people are socially awkward. They don't really know how to engage offline. Then you got people who are being told, like, when all you have, you know, capacity for is yourself, like, that's okay. Now, I'm not saying that it's not okay and that doesn't happen sometimes. But I think that becomes the standard now instead of the, I can't think of the word right now and I'm so mad at myself.
I mean, it would be one thing if it was like that's who you were.
Okay, yes. I'm not saying me
No, I'm not saying you. I'm just saying in general. It'd be one thing if that's just who you are. It's nothing if that's just a season you went through. And I think sometimes, and I had this conversation yesterday because a young man asked about, is it okay to be selfish? And I told him, yes, it's okay to be selfish. It's okay to make sure that you are okay. Because one of his things was, I'm here in this male group to kind of, to get my stuff off because I'm so used to everybody coming to me. Mm-hmm. And I don't never have nobody to talk to.
Yeah.
You know? And sometimes, like I said, life could be life is so much. Yeah. Is going on. So everything is haywire that you don't have enough capacity to take on what you got going on. Mm-hmm. I can't even, all I got enough to come home and sleep.
Yeah.
And get my little piece of quiet for this moment so that I can recharge to go out to face whatever I'm dealing with. To take on your stuff, your mental baggage, will probably break me because I only have so much for myself. And you have to know that about yourself at certain times because if you don't, you will burn yourself out.
Yeah. I think there's a difference. I think the dialogue has turned into like this term of like it's okay to be selfish. Selfish means what selfish means, right? And even myself, I've had to learn like the power of words, right? It is not selfish to say, I need a day. I need a moment. I'm having a season right now, right? I don't think that's selfish. I think when that becomes a perpetual state, right? Where everything is, I don't have capacity, I don't have capacity, I don't have capacity, always running inward. I think people have to take a step back and look at that, right? And is it that we don't have capacity? Is it that we're potentially battling, some symptoms of depression? Is it that I don't have capacity because I don't have community, and I don't have community because when I'm going through things, I always run inward? I'm afraid to reach out to people and say, hey, I'm going through a tough time, right? Because it might be a day when you're like, I do not have capacity to take on anybody else's stuff. I need to worry about me. Of course, that's human. When that day turns into 10, turns into 30, you're missing everything else in everybody else's lives.
Yeah.
You're kind of swallowed in your own stuff, and then you pop back out, and now everyone.
Just looking. But I think that's the whole thing about, like I said, about season.
Yeah.
That's you, because I know I had times that I go inward because I'm dealing with whatever I'm dealing with, and my community would notice, like, yo, I haven't seen you online. I haven't talked to you in 3 days. What you're doing? Like, my bro would literally pull up and be like, come on.
Yeah.
And I'll be like, where we going? We're going out. Come on, get in the car.
Yeah.
And then after we go out, I'm like, I needed this. You know what I'm saying? And that's just the important of having a community.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. I think it's, in a way, we're like saying the same thing in that sense, is like having that real community. This isn't just a bunch of like people who call friends but aren't really friends. And in that real community, like you said, there's a timeline.
Yeah.
There's a timeline in which it's like, of course, I understand you're a person and you need space. But at a certain point, this ain't healthy. We gotta like re-engage in community.
Sure.
And understanding that community is that balancing act. And I think we've talked about that before, of like, how do we have community if everybody's looking at each other like an op, or like, I know y'all don't got capacity, or I just got to worry about me. And it turns into a lot of like just people burning out because we don't know how to lean on each other in a healthy way. Right. Not in the Bible, it talks about like bearing in each other's burdens, right? Helping each other carry each other's burdens. It says to carry. I'm not taking your burden from you.
Yeah.
That's not my role. And I think learning that, I think in life I had to learn like, okay, I can share with my friend. I can say, hey, I'm going through X, Y, and Z. Sometimes it's just the power of presence. It's just the power of like, I shared that. I got that off my chest. Someone else knows what I'm going through. And maybe I do need to go like retreat for a little bit of time. But then now that person knows, hey, let me check in at a certain point. Let me give some more presence to this. Okay? Are you good? Yeah. Like, following up. And the same thing. So I think that's the power of community. And sometimes it's like it gets lost in those spaces. And then we could start looking at each other like ops. Like, oh no, it's men. They don't understand feelings. They don't understand, what we're going through as women. And then sometimes as men, women don't understand, and there is a level of truth to all of that.
No, for sure.
I don't knock it. I think there's a real level of truth about those experiences that the other side just really isn't understanding.
And I think we got to give each other more grace.
Yes, grace.
You know what I mean? A lot of times it's like one and done. You did something that I don't like, now I'm cutting you off. I'm done with you. You know what I mean? And it's like, it doesn't have to be like that. You know what I mean? We all human. We all having a human experience. We all trying to figure it out. You know what I mean? I always go by this. I put people on a scale. You may do something that I don't like, but I'll put you on a scale and say, are they a good person? Over the time, have I known them? Have they been like this? Have they violated me? Have they disrespected me? No. This one incident, I can forgive them for. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Or maybe I'll overlook their situation, what they're going through. They may be going through a death in the family, losing a job, a breakup, and I can see that they're not vibrating at their highest level. Mm-hmm. And I give them grace to say, you know what? It's okay. You good, bro. You good. Let me give you a little bit of space.
Yeah.
So that we don't continue this negative, interaction.
I agree with that.
But I'm come back around and say, yo, is you all right? Let's talk. You know what
Grace.
I mean? Come back over here. You my brother. Like, I love you. And that's the thing about love. Like, you have to have grace. You have to show some mercy.
Yeah.
You can't just be on one of the, you see a lot of families not coming together because it's like, oh, well, I didn't like the way she talked to me. So now I don't even talk to mine or her kids.
Spirit of offense.
You know what I mean? It's like, yo, like, you never, misspoke to somebody before.
Yeah.
You want people to give you grace, but you don't want to give nobody. You want God to give you grace.
Grace is unmerited favor. That just made me think about just the Lord when you talked about forgiveness. I'm a person who feels like the Bible says we are called to forgive. So it's not even about what I feel. That is what the word says. And so forgiveness is a requirement. I'm required to forgive you. Now, what amount of space and where you fit into after that forgiveness, that's when I start thinking about has this happened? Not just has this happened before, are you operating at your higher self? Have I actually given language to what happened? Like, I think people are mind readers. Have I actually given language and sat down and had a conversation? Or did you I feel like you did something that was offensive and I didn't even try to talk to you about it. Right. I just created a dialogue in my head. I trapped the offense in my heart and then I just moved on. I think those are important points too. But when it all boils down to it, it's like the Lord literally has so much mercy, so much grace with us. Grace is that unmerited favor, means you didn't earn it. Right. And so when I'm operating with people, I think about that. But I'm also careful now to make sure that I'm not making empathy an idol.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I went through a long season in my life where empathy was my idol. Oh, well, they was dealing with such and such. They had this going on. They had that going on. And so that makes sense why they did those things. And that's that logic and, empathy and things like that. And that could very well be true, but two things can be true at the same 100%. Time. You had the things that you were going through that made you behave this way, and it was wrong. Yeah. And it hurt me at the same time.
100%.
And that's okay for me to say that. I can still forgive you, but it's okay for me to acknowledge, what that thing was and then figure out what boundaries have to go in place. As always, it's always good talking to you. We can go in so many different directions. This is not even necessarily where I thought it was going to go, but I think it's been a really good conversation on just owning truth, having those tough conversations, like being aware of like your testimony and its rawness. And I wanted to see, is there anything you wanted to share about what you have coming up or doing? Any just words of wisdom?
Only words of wisdom that I have for anybody at this time is fight. Fight. A lot of people are dealing with depression. A lot of people are feeling low. A lot of people are being overwhelmed what's going on in the world and in their life. And all I can say is just don't give up. Yeah. Find your why, and then just get up and put one foot in front of the other. And nothing's gonna stay the same for too long. You know what I mean? So that's just my words of wisdom to anybody. As far as what I got going on, I'm working on a few projects right now. All I can say is just follow me on all social medias. Stay tuned because I definitely got some things coming.
That's exciting. I love what you said about people are like fighting and they're battling. There's a lot going on between politics, the world, like climate, inflation. All of these things are happening, and it's a daily struggle in a lot of ways. Yeah. As always, I say, find your community, find your people. Do not stay hidden, right? And the enemy loves to try to get to us in seclusion. Mm-hmm. And so find your people or your tribe. And for some of us, we might not necessarily feel like we have that. Join a men's group like he was talking about. Join a women's group. I have the Bible Girls Prayer Club. Not all of the women's who attend the group, necessarily have a tribe or things like that. But like reach out and get some help. Because it's all around you and it might not be conventional. And so with that, Thank you so much for joining us on Conversations for the Culture, and I will see you next time.